Hi, my name is Eduardo Lopez, and this will be my first video of a channel that I'm going to be starting where I talk about, the NFL, my opinions, what I'm seeing throughout the season. And I have been a real football fan since 2018. I watched it casually since I was, I think, 10, but I haven't been really following it. I've been really following it since 2018, and I'm a Jets fan, and I know it's been a rough decade for us Jets fan, but it is what it is. It's the Jets way. But what I want to talk about right now is the new NFL season, specifically the opening matches. It's probably if my memory serves, one of the craziest, if not the craziest, opening match to a season I think I've ever seen. I mean, even before the snap, and we had, Big Ben. He got injured before even a snap was called, and of course, the ejection of Jalen Carter, which was a very big controversy, unfortunately. There's a reason why teams didn't take him was because of his attitude, and I think it kind of showed up, unfortunately, before he got to even take a snap. And of course, I know there's a big controversy because Dak did seem to spit first, although to me, he seemed like he was sitting on the ground, but I understand either version, I get it. But in terms of the actual game, I think that both Hurts and Dak played a pretty decent game. Of course, that Hurts had no passing touchdowns, but he had two rushing touchdowns. And he actually, funny enough, Barkley had a pretty good game, but Hurts had more rushing yards than Barkley in this game. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And Dak had a good game. Unfortunately, he didn't score anything, and he didn't have any touchdowns. But I still think he made a pretty good game. He try to make plays when he needed to, but of course, when you have Lamb trapping those pretty good balls. I think the first two were pretty drop balls were pretty catchable. The last one, I'm not so sure what that was catchable. I mean, it was catchable, but I don't think it would have been. I don't want to blame him too much for that one. But and I think this game was pretty interesting because this game was suspected by most people to be a blowout. Of course, Eagles just won the Super Bowl last season, and the Cowboys will. They're the Cowboys, so of course there's going to be some issues with Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons. Although I will say that the defense for the Cowboys didn't look too bad out there, even without Micah Parsons. So I thought that was very interesting. And of course, he got traded to the Packers. So what I found very interesting about all this is that it always the same thing. I don't want to keep piling on, but for me, it's been the same thing for a while with the Cowboys, where they do very good in the regular season, and then once the playoffs hit, it's just they transform into a different team. They just collapse. So we'll see what happens. I think they had a pretty decent showing considering it was the Eagles and not just the Jets or the Giants or anything like that. But I thought it was a pretty fun game for the for the first half. Unfortunately, the first half I was going crazy. I mean, it was basically gunshot after gunshot, just going at each other's throats 24/7. There wasn't a score for the first, I don't know how many was it, 5-6 possessions. Someone they were scoring. So, and then it seemed like after the rain, it was just like dead. And unfortunately, it got stopped for weather issues. But after the weather, just dead the rest of the game. Eagles rode it out, and I think the Cowboys could use this as momentum, seeing that they held it pretty close against a very good, very 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 good Eagles team that are very young. But at the end of the day, I just need to see the Cowboys do something in the playoffs. And I know that a lot of people say they get hate just because they're the Cowboys, but sometimes I think they do it to themselves, unfortunately. And the Eagles, the hate they get, also they kind of do it to themselves, not just the players but their fans. But they're very passionate about their team, which I do respect, but it can get kind of crazy sometimes. But the next game that's coming up is the Chiefs versus Chargers. I think that's going to be a very interesting game because, of course, the Chiefs are not at 100% as they used to be. Of course, Patrick has had a couple, mediocre seasons by his standard. Of course, not saying they had horrible seasons, but by his standard, they were slightly lackluster. So, and of course, Chargers got Jim Harbaugh, so we're going to see what happens. But I've always had a slight bit of respect and pity for the Chargers because I think most people read they're very, very cursed. and they've been cursed for a long time. Even I feel like even before Philip Rivers. So we'll see what's gonna happen with that tonight, and I'm very excited to be sharing my thoughts about the NFL with you all. And I really hope you appreciated this first video that I shared with you all. And leave your comments below. What do you think about what's going on with the Cowboys and the Eagles? Where do you think that the hate for both of them is justified? What do you think about Jalen Carter? Do you think he has an attitude problem or not? Do you think he should just be suspended for multiple games or not? We're gonna see what happens with that, but just a wild start this season. I'm really looking forward to this season. I've been itching for football for a while now, so we'll see what's gonna happen with this season. All right, take care, guys. Thanks.